Action. Okay, let's talk about money scripts. Money scripts are basically core beliefs. Not basically, they are core beliefs that happen to be about money. So think of core beliefs. This is at the core of who you are. This is how you think the world works. These are kind of like roots. These core beliefs, you develop them through your experience, through your upbringing. You develop them by piecing together how the world works. You kind of were a little experimenter when you were young, and you develop core beliefs. These are like roots. From your core beliefs stem your assumptions, your deeply held assumptions about what's good and bad and right and wrong and how the world should work. And from those deeply held assumptions come your automatic thoughts. If you spent any time with mindfulness meditation, you know how much we are talking to ourselves all day long. Those automatic thoughts are shaped by your assumptions, which are shaped by your core beliefs. In other words, you kind of create a little circle of how the world works. This is how the world is supposed to work. In the world of meaning in life research, we call this your sense of coherence. So these deeply held assumptions are your assumption about how the world works. So most things are going to happen here inside the circle. And you're like, yeah, I knew that. That's exactly what I expected. There will be times in your life when sometimes something happens just outside that circle. And you might think, well, that's not how I thought it was going to happen, but that's kind of weird. Like it's weird. It's not super out of the ordinary, but it's a little bit weird. And if you take a step back and think about it, maybe you'll see, okay, I can kind of see how that makes sense. So usually if this happens enough, your circle of how the world works will grow a little bit. Sometimes though, there's big change that happens in our life and something happens way outside of what we thought could ever happen. And that's when we might experience trauma, or that's when we really get shook up. Our life really gets shaken up. But that's how that works. Yes, usually these kind of events are when we see a light is shined on our core beliefs. We didn't even know that we had these deeply held assumptions until something happens that makes us think about them like that. So these core beliefs, think of them as like a filter. And these core beliefs, they color how you see the world. So these core beliefs stand in between you and the world. And so the world is firing at you, but you don't see all of that. All you see is what your core beliefs let you see. And again, this happens outside of conscious awareness. And think of your subconscious mind like an elephant. This comes from Jonathan Haidt and the happiness hypothesis. It's been written about elsewhere too. But the elephant is like your subconscious mind. So this makes 95% of your daily decisions. This is autopilot. You don't even know this is happening. Completely subconscious. You don't know what's happening. And that's where your deeply held beliefs are. That's where your deeply held assumptions are. That's where your core beliefs are. Sitting on top of this elephant is the rider. And the rider represents consciousness. This is your deliberate thought. But you don't think that much about the world. You can't think about everything. So the elephant handles a lot of that stuff. And the rider, in good times, gets to control the impulses of the elephant. But for the most part, it's the elephant that's shaping those beliefs based on your needs, based on what you had to go through, based on your stress levels. Now, unfortunately, there's two biases working against us when our elephant formulates those core beliefs. The first is called a negativity bias. The negativity bias says that you're going to notice, you're going to remember, you're going to easily call up, you're easily going to spot, you're going to notice the bad stuff. Way more than you notice the good stuff, if you even notice the good stuff. So we are skewed to see the negative. Now, the other one that our elephant is susceptible to, that all of us are susceptible to, is called confirmation bias. So there's a lot of evidence out there that confirms what we already think, but there's also a lot of evidence out there that goes against what we already think. Now, we are easily drawn to stuff that confirms what we already think. We think, yeah, I knew that. See, there's proof. Now, we don't even notice the opposing evidence. Let me close the door on a potential misunderstanding here. This is not conscious. We don't say, Some people do, but for the most part, we don't say, I don't want to read that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to hear that. We don't notice things that go against our beliefs. So the negativity bias and confirmation bias, they help share those core beliefs, which lead to those automatic thoughts. And it kind of feels like these core beliefs lead directly to our automatic thoughts. Remember those roots, and then there's the stems, and then there's the flower of automatic thought. But it's really more like a cycle, because the core beliefs generate automatic thoughts, but then those automatic thoughts reinforce those core beliefs. And when we've got faulty automatic thoughts that are driven by or generated from faulty core beliefs, they're going to reinforce those core beliefs. And remember, they're roots. And every time they get reinforced, they become stronger and deeper and thicker and bigger. And so you've got the core beliefs leading to the automatic thoughts, which reinforce the core beliefs. And if these are not helpful, if these are faulty, we can spiral out of control pretty quickly. So the way out of this, the way to get out of this, is through investigating your core beliefs. And you do this by recognizing that it feels like something happens that makes us do something. Something happens that leads to some kind of behavior. I got triggered and then I did something, or I felt something. I got triggered and then I felt something. But the reality is that in between this is our core belief. This is kind of like our interpretation of how the world works. That's what's in there. So if you can take a step back, and whatever emotional or behavioral consequence happened, you can ask what happened before that. That gives you a little insight into your triggers. But then you get to ask, why did that event cause me to think or do or feel this thing? That gives you some insight into your core beliefs. And then you can even question it. Is this even true? Is there evidence for this? Is there evidence against this? What if my child or my parent or my spouse came to me with this exact same thing? How would I counsel that person? Because we don't talk to other people the same way we talk to ourselves. And when we do this, we can start to slow down our thinking process and see what those core beliefs are that are driving our behaviors. Because if they're too close to each other, stimulus and response are too close to each other, this is a reaction, this is automatic, this is autopilot, this is floating through life from circumstance to circumstance. Slowing down and investigating your core beliefs, including your money scripts, helps you grow that space. And that turns this into conscious choice. In other words, it brings more of your decisions into the realm of the rider. It helps you be aware of what's going on in your life. So slow down, recognize what core beliefs are driving your behaviors, that are driving your feelings, and you can live life more intentionally. Greetings, Derek again. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to learn more, please head to meaning.blog, and there you can learn about all things related to money and mindset and purpose and meaning. And you'll be able to find out how we might be able to work together. You'll find more articles. You'll find links to videos. You'll find online courses, all kinds of things to get you going on your journey towards living more intentionally.